And we're back with another episode of Before You Buy, that show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. As usual, it's me, Jake, and today we're talking about Kingdom Come Deliverance II. The wait is finally over for this one. This is the follow-up to the original Deliverance that garnered, I'd say, a cult following and ended on a cliffhanger. So here we have Henry of Skalitz' journey continuing. And jumping into it, just so you know, this footage was captured running on PC. This is all PC gameplay and is spoiler-free first impressions. So to cut right to the chase, man, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is great. It's in a better state out of the gate than the technical state of the original game when that launched. This is an uncompromised continuation of the previous game in both story and gameplay ideas, and I think fans of the original are definitely going to be happy here. It's like a bigger, better sequel with better visuals, production values, bigger worlds. It improves things, yes, with some quality updates and accessible tweaks here and there, but it is still a pretty hardcore RPG through and through, and authentic to what made the original game special. For better or worse, depending on who you ask. Now, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a game of setbacks and how you overcome them, really. Things can feel obtuse at first if you've never experienced these. Tutorial screens can look like these overwhelming paragraphs of text. The save system isn't generous if you don't use a save potion, so you can end up like losing 40 minutes in the blink of an eye if you're not careful. The lock-picking system, though improved a little bit, I still absolutely hate it here. You start off character-wise like stupid and poor and everyone kicks your ass. It's up to you to learn the game's systems, which are usually fair, and buck up and figure things out the old-fashioned way. If you're new to Kingdom Come, you'll feel pretty frustrated for the first few hours, but it's that slow progression, I think, that slow buildup of your character and like understanding the game that ends up really feeling rewarding and really gratifying. In the original, you went from zero to hero. This time around, you kind of go from capable-ish guy to badass. This time around, the adventure continues fresh off the original game. I'd say you need to be somewhat familiar with the original game. It does catch you up on events early on just fine, like the very basics of like how Henry's whole journey started, but characters from the original turn up like right away and are important to the story, so it helps to know them a little more. If you can't play the original, definitely watch a video explaining the first game's story in depth. So, as Henry, you set out with lovable jerk Lord Capon, and things very quickly go awry, leaving Henry pretty much a blank slate for you to build up like an RPG character however you want. It's immediately noticeable just how hard they went on story and presentation here, though, just to back up. Like the score, the framing, the direction of the cutscenes, all of it is just quality and highly entertaining. Voice actors just knocking it out of the park, bright, crisp visuals, all really just make it feel immediately like a step up from its predecessor. Memorable characters, a sense of history, and a good sense of humor make it worth experiencing. Now, after that pretty lengthy intro sequence, you're dumped out on your own with a vague objective and like a whole region to explore. You're basically going to want to spend that time getting better, helping people, doing side quests, hopefully getting some cash to buy some additional training and learn some maneuvers or techniques, but all this takes time. You're pretty fragile and the economy is stingy, but you have complete freedom. Do you want to steal and lie and cheat? Talk your way through things? Intimidate? Fight? Be a do-gooder? Like, you have a lot of choice in both moment-to-moment dialogue and encounters. Now, where the game really blew me away is how it's all constructed. Kind of like a Baldur's Gate 3, like it just feels like everything is accounted for here, like they thought of everything. And very rarely can you even barely see the seams. The game rolls with the punches in impressive ways, failing your way around, screwing stuff up. The game accounts for that and adapts with new moments, new character dialogue, stuff like that. If you fail a skill check, even if you fail, it's sometimes just as interesting to see what happens next as you kind of just fail your way through. That to me often is the mark of a good in-depth RPG. Still, like all that being said, the game is also equally like happy to kind of let you completely screw yourself into a corner. There were a few parts early on where I realized where I was stuck, I was completely screwed with nothing and no way to succeed rationally. And I Had to reload a save from like almost an hour ago. Still, it's how characters react to you losing a bar fight 2 quests ago. It's how your choices and mistakes are genuinely reflected in the world, from story moments to environmental details. Little things like doing a quest where you have to take something back from a group of camped bandits in the woods. So I like waited until nightfall, and then when they were all sleeping, I snuck in and stole that thing because I suck at sword fighting and combat. Then for all the dialogue to then reflect that I snuck in and didn't kill anyone, like how it actually acknowledged that and the characters spoke about it, it's just really good, well done, and well written stuff. This is down to these select moments in the game where you're stuck in kind of like a constructed area for a story mission. These end up being their own little super detailed mini levels with complex parts like multiple characters to talk to and mess with, charisma your way around, sub-objectives, and secrets to find. One early sequence being like at a wedding where you're free to catch up with characters you've already met around town, help some people out, get drunk, do whatever you want. It's just really good, well-built, in-depth moments in the game throughout the story. Now, combat is challenging and demanding. Dozens of hours in, you're a badass with the Master Strikes returning, of course, but it's an uphill battle. The directional-based striking and blocking returns, but with technically a few less directions for striking. Also, it's all a bit faster and more responsive. But don't worry, the combat has not been dumbed down to be easier or anything like that. I still think if the combat turned you off in the original game, while it's better here, it still might turn you off. Me personally, a lot of the footage I captured here early on was just me getting my own ass kicked. I completely sucked for a while, so I'm sorry you have to see it. Look, it took me a while to remember how to focus on getting better before doing anything else. And there is new melee weapons as well as advanced crossbows with different ammo types and makeshift early guns with different ammo types as well. I guess boomsticks really is what you would call them. Besides your horse, you can also have your faithful dog companion Mutt, which I highly recommend focusing on getting him in an early side quest. Don't dick around with that, don't ignore it, because he can come with a lot of benefits. Now, the violence in the game is good, the effects are good, the stealth is pretty good too. I relied on it quite a bit and found it good in a lot of situations. Not everyone, but my only issue was detection is a little finicky and sometimes weird with characters on different floor levels. Also, sometimes guards overreact or they forgive you, they let you move on, but then all of a sudden they go, hey, and they forgot that it's a little messy, and I hope that gets fixed. Building out your character is great with a shit ton of stats and buffs to worry about, and plotting perk points to unlock certain traits to make things ever so slightly easier little by little. A lot of unlocks just really nicely benefit other things in small ways, making it easier to haggle. Maybe slowing down the rate that your armor wears down. The ability to more quickly do a knockout or stealth kill attack. That's just the simple stuff. Really, it just pays to do as much as possible. Fight as much as possible, sneak as much as possible, charisma your way through as much as possible, depending on what you want to focus on. This is all just in the hopes of getting incrementally better and getting these fun perk points. Survival elements do persist as well. If you were looking for that, you're managing your sleep, your hunger, and your equipment and stuff. It's all important. I did find hunger a little less demanding this time around than the previous game, but it's still something you need to pay mind to. But having larger regions to explore really is the game changer for me here. The regions feel huge. The city area feels incredibly impressive and dense and detailed. With the music and the sun setting and riding through a densely wooded forest on my horse, I really felt immersed in this world and wanted to spend just an endless amount of time in it. Being rewarded by finding a camp or a strange mysterious hut or a pack of wolves or an abandoned grave site all just helped add to the exploration. It's not the most dense map with side objectives and activities. It's just right. There's a hell of a lot to do. This game is a massive time sink, but your map isn't cluttered. There's breathing room where there should be. It's just got a stronger sense of real, genuine adventuring compared to the first game. And again, I remember the first game launching in a bit of a rough state. Some performance stuff, some weird glitches. It was frustrating. Now here, after many hours of playing, my experience has been pretty good. There's a day one patch coming with fixes that I didn't experience yet, so keep that in mind. But even still, without that, my performance was really solid. Other than a few flickering shadows and I had one endless loading screen that caused me to have to restart the game, that's it. No hard crashes or anything like that. I was able to get a consistent frame rate and just have a nice time. So this is good news. The game does have some quirks though, some stuff that might get patched or fixed really quickly, but like every so often I did have characters not really react to what they were saying or like their voice line, or like they would hold up a mug of mead to cheers only to have nothing in their hand and just mime it. Like little things like that here and there will crop up, but none of them really impacted my experience much. And again, I think in a much better state than the original game. So again, Kingdom Come Deliverance II is a lengthy game that demands a lot of your time, especially if you're a little slow picking things up. Just be prepared for that. But even as this is just my first impressions, seeing the two main regions and spending a ton of time wandering off the main quest path and just getting into shenanigans, forging swords, doing activities, all that, this is just like a really strong game. A game where I use the overused phrase, yes, it's not for everyone, and like I really mean that with this one. But I think fans of the original will be incredibly happy here, and new fans willing to have patience and perseverance will find a really unique experience here. Sweaty old school PC RPG gameplay, plus a great story with memorable characters. Not a lot of new games on the market quite like this one, and for that, I'm grateful. But for now, that's a before you buy. You know how this goes by now. I give you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinions, and now I want to hear yours down in the comments. Do you have strong feelings of the original game? You're either absolutely in love with it, or you got turned off by it. I'd love to know where you're sitting. I'd love to know your thoughts on the difficulty. I know a lot of people defend the difficulty, and I essentially did here too, but let me know if you love it, you hate it, if you were looking forward to Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, your expectations and stuff. The game is releasing pretty soon after this video comes out, so first impressions if you got them, anything at all, let's talk. If you like this video and maybe it helped you out, seeing the gameplay helped steer your decision or something like that, clicking the like button's all you gotta do. It really helps us out. And if you're new, consider subscribing because we put out videos every single day. But as always, I'm Jake Baldino. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.